Hello students, in our previous video of Unit 2, we have discussed about user-defined functions with different parameter passing techniques. Now in today's video I am covering different features available with user-defined functions in C++. So today's objective is to know about the different inline functions, functions with default arguments and constant arguments, and also we would like to develop a simple program using function overloading techniques. Let's start with the first one, that is inline functions. So in functions we can make user defined functions as inline by just adding keyword inline to the function definition. An inline function is a function that is expanded in line when it is invoked. That means whenever function is called, it will be replaced by a function definition, or we can say a function body at the compile time. So the compiler replaces the function call with the function code. We can say by using inline keyword, compiler can replace the function call with function code or function body. So let's compare the normal function, normal user defined functions and inline functions. Here from the left side we can see whenever we start with the program, if we find main function body, that means a main integer main function, in that we can find any function call, then that function call can be transferred to its respective function body or function definition in a program, and then the flow of control will get back to the next line of the function call, right? Now in inline functions, what happens whenever we find function call within main function, then at that time compiler will replace at the time of compilation function call with function body itself. That means no need to jump from main function to function definition, completing the process and then get back to the main function from the function definition. So here we are saving time. Let's see one example. Here I have written a code which calculates the cube of given number. Let's run the program. See, 1000. Now friends, there is no difference in having output from normal user defined functions and inline user defined functions. The difference is while program is being compiling, right? Whenever a compiler finds this line c is equal to cube 10, at that time this line will be replaced by the statement return n into n, so that the compiler can save the time from jumping from the main function to function definition and get back to function main. Let's get back to our slide. So from this example we can say that function call, that is c is equal to cube 10, is replaced with c is equal to 10 multiply 10 multiply 10 at the time of compilation. So in this way inline functions are helpful to reduce the time for processing of a program. So we can say the execution time reduce is the most important advantage of inline functions, as well as it increases the readability of a program, and also it provides strong type checking. That means at the time of compilation the data types are strongly checked. So friends, there are some limitations also for inline functions. The first one is a function definition should appear before function call. That means we have to define an inline function before calling that function. Then second, it increases the size of main function. Yes, if we are replacing a function call with function body, then obviously the size of main function will be increased. And the third thing is, compiler may ignore inline keywords in some of the cases, like if a function contains a loop or it is recursive. That means if we are having a user defined function which I want to make inline, and that function contains looping statements or it is recursive in nature, then compiler can ignore keyword inline and it will treat it like a normal user defined function. The second case is if a function contains static variables. That means if a function is having static variable that cannot be changed during the time of execution, then also inline keyword will be ignored. The third case is if a function return type is other than void and return statement does not exist in the function body. That means programmer may forget to return something from the function, and the type of function return type is other than void, then also it can be ignored. And the last case is if a function contains switch or goto statements. Yes friends, if function definition contains switch or goto statements, then also inline keyword will not get its effect while compiling the program. So this is all about inline functions. Now let's get back to our next point, that is default arguments. Yes, as we all know that function, user defined function can have one or more than one arguments, that is parameters, right? We can define that argument as default. That means we can assign default values to our arguments. So whenever we provide default values to function parameter, then it is called function having default argument. These default values are specified when the function is being declared. So we must add default argument from right to left. Yes, this is the rule to use default arguments in our user defined functions, that we have to take care about declaration of our default argument must be done from right side to left side. That means the first default argument should be the rightmost argument in our list. Then we cannot provide a default value to a particular argument in the middle of an argument list. And default arguments are useful in the situations where some arguments always have the same values. Let's see the example. Here we are having two arguments in our function f, that is a and b. See, both the arguments are assigned some default values, that is a is equal to 0 and b is equal to 0, and this function simply displays the value of a and b. Now in integer main function we are calling this function f with different argument list. See, from the first line we are calling the function f without any argument. That means we are not passing any argument. That means it has to use its default values for its specified arguments. The second line we are specifying value 10, and in third line we are specifying two values, that is 10 and 99. That means we are specifying our customized value for both a and b. See, here I am having same program. Let's run it and see the output. First function call that does not specify any argument is having output a is equal to 0 and b is equal to 0. The second line of the function call that is having only one argument, value 10, will display value of a is equal to 10 and b is equal to 0. That means from the list of default arguments, whichever the first argument we have specified, only one argument we have specified, will be assigned to the first argument. Then from the last function call, that is f10, 99, we get value of a equal to 10 and b is equal to 99. That means whenever we specify some value for the default arguments, it will use the specified values, and if we do not specify any value while function is calling, then it will use default argument values. Now let's get back to our slide. So hope this is all about default arguments and it is clear for all of you. Now let's get back to the constant arguments. Yes, we can also have constant arguments in our C++ programs for user defined functions. So these arguments can be declared as constant using a keyword const. The syntax is const data type and then variable name. Here is the example: int square into bracket const int a. That means there is only one parameter we are passing in square function which is having constant value. Same way we are having another example, that is float area const float r. That means we are specifying one parameter r for the function area which is constant. So in both of the above statements, the const keyword tells to the compiler that function should not modify the argument a and argument r. Now I am executing the function. See, what is the error? Cannot modify a constant object. That means we are having error at the line number 2 in our function definition, that x is equal to x plus 1 cannot modify constant object. As x is our constant argument, we cannot increment it by 1. So this is the one of the disadvantage, that we have to take care about the constant arguments in our user defined functions. Friends, the next thing is function overloading. Now overloading means to use the same thing for different purpose. That is, we discussed in our previous videos from unit 1 that function overloading is one of the example of polymorphism, right? So C++ allows overloading of functions whenever multiple functions with same name are used for different purpose in a program, then it is known as a function overloading. So how compiler will be able to know that which function to call at which time, right? So based on different number of arguments, based on different type of arguments, and based on the return type of these functions, it can be differentiated. So for example, if we are having area of any shape function, for that we can have area for circle, then we will specify only one argument, and if we want to find out the area of any rectangle, then we have to specify two arguments. So based on these number of arguments, compiler can differentiate them. So this is one more example. Int add function is having two arguments here, int a and int b, and in the second function definition it is having three arguments, int a, int b and int c. So the function name in both the cases is same, that is add. Number of parameters 2 and here it is 3, and types of parameters are also same, but only the number of parameters in the first function definition is 2 and in the second function definition it is 3. That means function overloading is done because the name of the function and return type of the function and return type of the parameters are same, but the number of parameters are different. So by this way compiler can identify which function to call at which time. So let's run the program Once again, I have taken const float pi equal to 3.14 as a constant value and using it in a calculating area of circle, and another area function having two arguments L and B, and in void main or int main I have specified value of R, L and B and then passing to the function area. In first line I am specifying only radius, and in second function call I am specifying length and breadth. That means here I am calling function which calculate the area of rectangle, and here I am calling the function which calculate the area of circle. Let's see. Enter the radius. I am entering value 2, and I want to enter length for the rectangle 5 and breadth 7. Now see, the area of circle will be calculated based on the first function call, that is area into bracket R. R is having value 2, and the second area of rectangle is being executed by value 5 and 7 for the length and breadth of the rectangle. So this is how function overloading can be implemented in C++. Hope all of you are getting clear about all these concepts, friends. Thank you.